Not to be confused with Fox Mulder, whose name also probably isn't very recognizable anymore, but I'm old, so I know both of these names. But yeah, today we are not going to talk about Fox or the X-Files. We are going to talk about Karen Mulder and some other files. Karen Mulder, an OG angel, and her fall from grace. On Gigi says what now? Okay, so Karen Mulder was born June 1st, 1970 in the Netherlands. And, I mean, she lived a way normal life. And so one day in 1985, at the young age of 15, she came across an ad for Elite Model Managements and their Look of the Year contest. Now, she wasn't going to enter this contest because, you know, she didn't think she was pretty enough. She had, like, braces, and she was 15 and all of that. Okay, spoiler. This woman would literally become a Barbie doll. Remember that the next time you're down. It takes a whole collab of artisans to create the images that we see and the content that we consume. So the next time that you think you're not pretty, shh, you are absolutely beautiful. So anyway, her sister was like, go the fuck? And sent in a picture of Karen anyways. And that picture landed her in audition. And guess what? She won. No, she didn't win. She didn't win. She took second. And with second place, because believe me, baby, second place is good enough. Better than enough. Remember, C's get degrees. Because she was signed by Elite Models. And by 1988, and throughout the 90s, she was a top model. She was one of the OG supermodels. She was on the cover of Vogue 21 times. She was the face of L'Oreal, Dior, Versace. And that's only to name a few. Like, the list of her accomplishments just goes on and on and on. She walked with Naomi Campbell, Linda and Evangelista. I can talk, I swear. Helena Christensen. She was literally one of those models that did not have to get out of bed for less than $10,000 a day. She worked with, including but not limited to, the following: Patrick de Montchelier. I'm sure, like 100% positive I mispronounced that. I apologize. Anyway, for a moment, he was Princess Diana's personal photographer. The Boston Globe Spotlight team once did an expose of 50 models who had opened up about SA in the industry. Patrick made the list of offenders, with no less than 7 models sharing their truths. She also worked with Bruce Weber, whose resume included 20 allegations with 3 cases that were settled for undisclosed amounts. She also worked with, she did. And also Bruce Weber worked with Leslie Wexner, who had very close ties with none other than who? That's right. Jeffrey Epstein. Now, if you want to do a deeper dive or know more about Leslie Wexner, please follow this account and believe the victims. Believe the victims. Anyway, to go on, she also worked with this guy, Stephen Meisel, Meisel, another name I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. Anyway, he faced 2 counts of possession and distribution of CP in 2014. So in 1988, Karen, she married this guy, Rene Bonds, Bosne. Oh, another name. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. Anyway, they would later divorce, I think, in like 93. By 95, she began dating Jean-Yves Lafleur, who was her partner and her manager. And he had been previously engaged to Prince Albert of Monaco, his sister, Princess Stephanie. He was engaged to her before he started going dating Karen. So Jean-Yves, it was later said of him that he supposedly worked in real estate, but the claimant stated that she never witnessed him doing anything with real estate. He seemed to be too busy brokering and procuring girls for his influential buddies. She called them uber douchebags, bribing and drugging young girls, just like Prince Albert of Monaco. So in 2001, Karen appeared on this French show whose title translates to Everyone's Talking About It. And everyone was talking about it. So in front of a live audience, Karen finds the strength to call out abuse in the industry. And she's naming names. Naming names. The show was pulled. It was pulled. They cut it mid-filming, destroyed the footage. And so the only reports that exist are of the live audience. And so all we have is what they said. And what did they say? She called out Jean-Luc Brunel, a name you may or may not be familiar with. So in 1988, nearly a decade before, 60 Minutes did an expose into the claims of SA by Brunel. Okay. In 2000 to 2015, he was financed by who? Who? Because it all leads back to this douchebag, right? Yeah, that person. Anyway, Jean-Luc would be arrested December 16th of 2020 after 3 decades of trafficking and abuse. He passed in his cell before his trial, just like somebody else. Anyway, and they also said that Karen called out her employer, Gerald Marie. And this guy, he was forced to resign in 99 after and mind you, this is in 2001. So he had already been forced to resign in 99 after multiple claims of and trafficking. Survivors said that they would be sent on trips where there was no actual work, or they would be sent to parties with these uber wealthy elitists, all of whom had absolutely no connections to the fashion industry. And Marie, this guy, he was once caught on a hot mic or a secret mic offering a child money for favors. He often bragged about what look of the year models he was going to sleep with. Now, mind you, the average age of these models was 15. Now, for more about elite models and the look of the year contest, check out this guy and this vid. He goes into a deep dive on Brett Ratner, and it's, I highly suggest, because that it all it's all of them. Okay, but back to Marie. There was another model who claimed he sold her to Khashoggi without her knowledge. Now, if you don't know about Khashoggi, the arms dealer, not the journalist, seriously, we could do a 5-hour deep dive into him and not cover everything. But I definitely suggest you go do your own deep dive. There's a lot of great videos, a lot of great documentaries, and a lot of stuff written about him. But anyway, he's also has very close ties with the island guy. Some even said that he was the island guy's mentor, but then so was Leslie Wexner. And honestly, when I started to do this deep dive into Karen Mulder, I just wanted to prove her right? I wasn't looking for connections to Jeffrey or his island or his world. I just wanted to prove her right. Like, and it all still kind of came back to him. But again, back to Marie. Another separate claim said that he began grooming her at the age of 14. Now, his former wife, who was also a 10K a day supermodel, said he trafficked his models. And she lost everything. Like I said, she was a 10K a day model. She was a supermodel. That girl was working and making that money. Get that bag, girl. And she lost everything. Everything. Just to get away from this asshole. So, okay. In 2001, the same year as Karen's appearance on the show, Marie was actually reinstated to Elite Models, where he held a position of power until like 2011. In 2020, the French would open up an investigation on this guy, but there's this pesky little law. It's called a statute of limitation, and that prevented any charges being brought to Marie, right? We have a lot of those statutes in the United States as well. And I definitely think that's a law that needs to be changed. We need to eliminate the statute of limitations on SA. Point blank. Period. On a federal level. But this isn't about politics, silly. This is about Karen Mulder. And so after her show was pulled, Karen's episode was pulled, the show kind of changed everything, right? It should have changed everything, just not in the way that it did. Because that show, and if people had just listened to her and believed her, the countless amount of children who lost their innocence after that could have been saved. Right. Anyway, Terry Addison, the host of that show, he said that he believed Karen and he regretted the extreme censorship. He's since passed. But, you know, the only thing to change from that, literally the only thing, was Karen's entire life. See, a few weeks later, she would be interviewing with a weekly magazine, or rag, where she would repeat her claims. And within hours of completing that interview, she was hospitalized. And guess who paid for it? Gerard Marie. And even her sister would later go on to discredit her claims. See, they came out in the press to kind of combat all the rumors about that live show she did, and said, oh, she had anxiety, and she had insomnia, and she had ED, and all of the things that can go along with trauma. They used that to discredit her, and they said that's why she was in the hospital. And Marie would be the one to pay for, I think it was 5 months that she was in the hospital. And I think about Karen and her rise, like, she was so young, and she was just reaching these milestones and doing all of these amazing things and all of these amazing accomplishments and traveling the world, and she should have, you know, been able to do all of that with the wonder and the excitement of youth, and it should have been this just totally amazing, like, fairy tale princess dream life. That's what it should have been. And she was robbed of that. Like so many other girls and boys. They were robbed of their innocence. They were robbed of their dreams. They were robbed of their trust. They were robbed of their safety, security. They were robbed of their voice. They were robbed of their power. And I wish that I could give you a happy little ending to this story. But here we are, 25 years later. And look at everything that's going on. Look at everything that's coming to light now. Yeah. So all I can really say is believe survivors. That's where we start. We start by believing survivors. Because with all the information I just gave you and all the connections I just gave you, there's no way you can deny that Karen was telling the truth.